Hello there again from Sue's Dog Life Kitchen. So today I'm going to be making a request. So today I'm making cottage pie, especially for you, Lorna. Okay, so I hope you enjoy this recipe. It's just a basic cottage pie recipe, and that's what I'm making today. So in this bowl I have 500 grams of minced beef. You're supposed to use a lot more than this, so depending on how many people you're feeding, but I'm only feeding me and my partner, and this will still make a lot. And what I will do is put it in individual dishes, which I will show you when I put the mashed potato on, and freeze a couple of them. So I reckon this will make 4 small pie dish size cottage pies. Okay then, so that's that. So we're just going to put our cooker on, and then we'll heat up the meat. Actually, so we have our pan here for the mince. So we're just going to put a tiny bit of coconut oil in, which I've actually been warming in the microwave to melt it. You can use normal oil, whatever you want, but I use coconut oil mainly for cooking. So that's that. So I've put in some coconut oil in the pan and let that warm up a minute. And while we're waiting for that to warm up, I will show you the rest of the ingredients. So we have some tomato puree. So we're going to use a tablespoon of tomato puree. You don't have to use this if you don't want to. With cottage pie, you can just put in whatever you want, or just don't put in whatever you want. And then we have two tablespoons of mixed spice. Not mixed spice, thyme. So we have 2 teaspoons of thyme. 2 teaspoons of thyme. Okay? Then we have our sea salt crystals. We have our brown pepper. I went and got one of these off the table. I have a large onion, a large mushroom, and a carrot. Okay? I'm going to grate the carrot because I don't want great big lumps of carrot in it. I just want like the look. You know, it just adds to the volume of the dish. So we're going to grate the carrot. And then I have 6 potatoes here, which we're going to peel and cut up, and then put in some hot water. The phone is ringing. And then put into some hot water to make the mash, all right, which we'll do after. Oh, and 1 garlic clove. So I just want to tell you about garlic, because this is organic garlic that I bought yesterday at the market. Well, it's an organic shop in Mac, so I actually bought this in there yesterday. And I have my garlic crusher here, and to get the skin off easier, you can just soak it in some hot water, and it makes the skin come off easier. So just a little tip there, because some garlic cloves, the skin is harder to get off than others. I'm only using 1 garlic clove because these are very big, and as I just said, I've only got 500 grams of mince. This is minced steak, by the way. You can use cheaper mince. This has 20% less fat. It's very hard to find like other mince with normal amount of fat in these days. So anyway, so there we are. So we're ready with our ingredients. The oil is hot now in the pan. So what we're going to do first is just chop up the onion. So we'll just chop up the onion, and then we're going to just put all the ingredients together, really. It's not that complicated. So I like to just soften the onion a little bit before I add the meat, because I always think the onion takes the longest to cook. Or you can grate your onion, which means it will cook really quick. But today we're just going to chop up the onion, okay? So we're just going to cut it roughly, and then we're just going to cut it in half, and then I'm cutting it this way. But you can cut your onion however you like. This is how I cut my onions, can you see? So I just cut it in half, and then I cut it one way, hold it together, and then cut it the other way. Holding it together. Doesn't always happen. And then just turn it, hold it together as much as you can, just keep holding it together. Okay? So that's cut, and then I'm cutting up the other side. So hold it, cut down into it, and then turn it, making sure it stays together. Hold it again so none of the bits run away, because onions like doing that, don't they? When you think you've got hold of them. Then turn it again, then hold it again, hold it together all the time. That's it. There you go, done. This bit doesn't seem to be cut very well. There we are. Anyway, so that's our onion cut. Just roughly chopped. It doesn't have to be tiny little bits. And then we're going to put this in the pan. Just take this oil off a second. Smoking, but it doesn't burn because this is coconut oil and it never burns. It doesn't burn, it will never burn. And the molecules do not change structure and it doesn't become poison, which a lot of normal oils do. The ones you buy in the shop. A lot of them, just go and research oil. If you don't believe me, just research oil, especially man-made. Yeah. Anyway, so we're just going to tip these onions in here and we're going to saute them off a little bit. Which means we just want to lightly cook them so they become translucent. But we don't want to brown them, so we're not after browning the onions today, we just want to lightly cook them. So that's what we're doing right now. We'll just put our onions in there, give them a quick stir, keep an eye on them. Turn the heat down. Okay. Coconut oil cooks at a really high temperature, more higher than that normal oils, okay? And it never burns. That's why I say that, because it's really interesting to know. And if you get this coconut oil that's odourless, this is much better for cooking with. I do like the one with the actual coconut taste, which is really nice if you put it in desserts. Or if you're making anything that you need oil in it, like a dressing or something, use coconut oil with this taste in it. It tastes really nice. And then tip our mince in, like so. So we want to brown the mince. We want to make sure there's no clumps in it. Okay, so we don't want any clumps in our mince. And then mix it in with the onion. And while that's cooking, because we can move a little bit, we'll just roughly chop the mushroom. So we're going to just cut it this way, and then we're just going to chop it this way. Okay? And that's that. And then we're just going to grate the carrot, which I've already peeled. You can just cut it into little circles or what have you, but I'm just going to grate it today. It doesn't take a minute to grate a carrot. It just adds to the, oh, it went straight in my mouth, that bit of carrot. That was handy. God, I could never have done that if I tried, could I? Really? You know, just went straight in my mouth. Anyway, so that's the carrot grated. So we'll just put that there. And we're going to keep those leaves. Remember what I said, if you watched my other video the other day about making stock, if you keep all your leaves and your carrot ends and your peelings and everything and put them in a saucepan, you can make stock with them. Okay? So there's the grated carrot. We're just going to put that in. And there you have it. The more, if you don't like meat that much, you can add more vegetables and less meat. And if you don't want to have a meat cottage pie, you can always make a vegetarian cottage pie and get yourself some corn mince if you like that. So you can just use corn mince and just not have the real meat, you can just have corn. Okay? It's up to you what you do. I'm doing this because someone requested this today. So I was trying to find a recipe for ages upstairs for cottage pie. It was really hard to find one. So I'm just putting in the mushrooms. And there we have it. So just keep stirring it a little bit. I'll show it to you in a minute. And then I'm going to put in a tablespoon of tomato puree, but you don't have to use this if you don't want to. Actually, all my tablespoons seem to be missing, so I'll just use a dessert spoon. And if you want to use more than one dessert spoon, you can just put in as much as or as little as you like. I'm just going to put in that. Okay, I might just put in a little bit more. So about 1.5 dessert spoons would be about a tablespoon. So that's that. Just mix that in. So just mixing that in. This is a very quick meal, doesn't take long to do. And now we're going to crush the garlic clove. I have my garlic crusher here, so just put the garlic, wait a minute, just put the garlic in here and then crush it. I'll do it straight into the pan. There we are. You can use as much or as little of garlic as you like. I don't want it too garlicky. And then I'm going to put in the 2 teaspoons of dried thyme and some salt and pepper. So that's enough pepper. You can always put more salt and pepper in later for taste, okay? Right, and you can make, if you want to use gravy granules for your mince, you can. I'm actually got some stock here, some vegetable stock here, which I made already. And I've also got some gravy stock here that I had left. So I'm just going to put this gravy stock in here. Oh, and you want to know proportions for that, don't you, really? So hold on a moment, I'll just read the instructions, but I'm doing it my own thing anyway. It's just a guide. Okay, so it doesn't say anything about doing that in here. So I would say sort of like, let me measure that for you so you know. So, as a guide, just as a guide, this is just a guide. Everything I do is just a guide. Because everything changes, you can do everything the way you want, basically. You don't need that much stock, by the way. I've got a guide here of, say, 400 mils. 400 mils of liquid, which is a mixture of beef stock and vegetable stock, okay? You can use whatever stock you want, or you can just make up some gravy and throw that in. Alright? So I'm just going to put in the stock now. So this is what it looks like. Okay, that's what it looks like. So in here we have our minced beef, we have, oh, I can really smell the garlic. We have our onion, our mushroom, our garlic, our thyme, salt and pepper, and our grated carrot. Okay, so now we're just going to add the 300 mils of stock, and then we're just going to let it cook. So remember you're doing a cottage pie, so you're going to put a lid on it, so you don't have to let it cook for too long. So I would say sort of like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on how much you're making, obviously. But as a guide, 15 or 20 minutes. Because remember, you're going to be cooking it also in the oven. So you don't need to go mad. So cook it on a low heat, you don't want it to catch. And while we're doing that, we're just put all these leaves over here. And I'll put them on this table, ready for later. So I'll keep that bit of stock because we're going to make some gravy also. And then we'll just move these things, and then we will just peel the potatoes. I'll just put this over by the sink. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, right, I just got to put the fan on a minute. Just for a minute, just to clear the air. So I'm just peeling the potatoes. This might be boring. I might speed this bit up. So you can either parboil potatoes and then lay them on, and then just, you know, spread them with some butter, like coat them with some butter or oil, or you can mash them. So it's up to you how you want your potatoes on top of your cottage pie. And then you can either put cheese on or just brown it under the grill. It's up to you. Just to get the top brown. So what I normally do, the way I make cottage pie, is that I just put it in a dish normally. If I'm batch cooking, I usually use a great big dish. And then I will put cheese on it. I will always put cheese on it because cheese tends to hold it together as well. And then I will cook it in the oven. Then I will take it out. Then I will let it get completely cold. And then I will cut it into sections. And then I will cover each section with cling film and freeze it. And that's batch cooking. So that if you want to do like a big load of one thing, always let it go completely cold, overnight preferably, in the bottom of your fridge, but you have to let it go cold before you can even put it in the fridge. So, and then keep it in the fridge overnight, take it out, and with cottage pie it comes out in nice chunks. You can cut it really easy and then just take each portion out and freeze each portion. And you can make enough for enough dinners. So there's no excuse not to make homemade food because you can always batch cook. You can do that with lasagna, because lasagna is just the same. You can cook it and then you can get yourself some bigger dishes or individual portion sizes and then let them go cold and freeze those. So, and there's so many things you can cook like that. You know, even your own potatoes, and you know, you can parboil them and then use them, like slice them up, parboil them. You have to parboil things because if you try and put frozen vegetables back in the fridge, sometimes they get frostbite and they don't look good or cook well. But, you know, try and use fresh vegetables. But if you can't, then you can just parboil it for a few minutes, no, a few seconds. It's really quick. And then put them in cold water or run them under the tap really quick and then dry them off, put them in a bag and freeze them. So you've made your own frozen vegetables basically. Because have you ever tried to freeze something straight from like this and then put it straight in the freezer? Well, doesn't normally go well. And a lot of the time the things, when you go to defrost them, are awful. They're like mushy and yucky. Whereas if you parboil them first, so they're sort of partly cooked, then freeze, it comes out much better. Okay, just a little tip there. It's only through years of my experience of cooking that I've learnt all this stuff, by the way. Trial and error it's called. Right, so I'm just going to put these peelings in this pot because I want to keep them. And then what I do is I rinse them all out first, and then I'll put them in a saucepan. Back again. So in this saucepan I'm just going to cut these in half, because they're only little, well, quarters, sorry, into quarters. Well, that one's not going to go in a quarter. Some of them don't even have to go in quarters. These are only little potatoes. This is just to show you how to do it, basically. And then I'm just going to put some hot water on these. I usually always use hot water if I can. Gives it a go. And plus, because I've always done cooking in the kitchen, everything's about speed. To try and cook things the quickest way I can possibly cook them. So, and then just put some salt. Okay, and there we have it. So we'll just put them on to boil. Okay then, so at the moment we're waiting for the mince to cook, and we have our potatoes on. So they're in there, and we've just got to wait for them to cook. So in the meantime, I just wanted to show you that this is the gravy browning that I was talking about the other day, if you watched my other video. And this one is a Welsh one, crunchy. But it doesn't matter what one you use can use any gravy browning, but this is the one that I'm using. I'll just show you, so you can see. So this is the one I'm using today. Okay, and I just bought this, and you only need a few drops of gravy browning. So if you look on my, if you look here, this is sort of like a tomato kind of colour. If you can see that, it's really hard to show you anything. Right, and I like it a bit like browner. You don't have to, it's preferential choice, and if you used, you know, if you use gravy granules anyway, it will be brown because there is gravy browning in the granules. But I'm just going to just put a tiny bit of this in. So it's just a preference. I mean, I like it to look darker. And because I'm running this business, people always expect things to be a certain colour. Just makes it look richer. Because sometimes when you cook a gravy, like I did faggots the other day, and I didn't have any gravy browning, and to me they looked a bit anemic, the gravy. I needed it to look darker, but I didn't have any left. So when I went shopping yesterday, I made sure I bought some. So that's needing a bit more. So you just keep putting it in until it gets to the colour that you want, basically. So to me that looks better, because I'm not using gravy granules today. It's got enough thickener. It's thick enough, if you see what I'm saying. It's actually thick enough. So it's looking better now. I didn't like the tomatoey colour, but I mean that's just personal preference. You know, if you don't put tomato puree in it, it's not going to look orangey, is it? But that looks much better to me. So I just wanted to show you that because you know, this is a handy thing to have in your fridge. You know, just once you've opened it, keep it in the fridge, and it will last for so long. You know, until the date runs out on it. You know, that's how long it lasts. And they usually have a really long expiry date. I don't even know. And it's vegan. So if you want things to look meaty, like if you was doing a cottage pie with corn mince and you wanted it to look like mince, then you could just add this, and this is vegan, so it hasn't got any kind of meat derivatives or anything like that in it. Okay, so this is really handy if you like your food to look like it's got meat in, even though you're a vegetarian. Okay, but there you go. So I just thought I'd give you that handy little tip today. All right then. Okay. That again. So I'm just going to test the mince to see how it's getting on. See if it's nearly done. It doesn't have to be completely done because obviously we're going to put topping on and put it in the oven. Okay, I'm just testing it. Tastes nice. Tastes really nice. We would just put a little bit more pepper in. So where's my pepper gone? Yeah. I'll just put a little bit more pepper in. I mean, everything's your own personal preference of taste, isn't it? If you wanted to put a few more herbs in, you could. But it's nice and thick. I don't know if I can show you. But it's nice and thick now, see? So what we're going to do now, because that's actually cooked, is just transfer it into these little bowls that I have. These are the little pie dishes I was talking about, and you can batch cook in these. You can buy these in, well, there's a lot of shops that sell these now, but I bought these from a catering shop, but it doesn't really matter, you can get them mostly anywhere. And then I have these 2 little weeny ones as well. So I've got 3 large ones and 2 small ones. And what I'm going to do is do 1 large one, 1 small one, 1 large one, and see how much we get out of this amount of meat here. Okay, so we're going to get a ladle. It's easier to do it with a ladle. So I'm just going to ladle it in. You don't need to fill it up, you only want it sort of halfway, because remember you're going to top it off with some potato and cheese. So, see, 1 ladle is enough. Okay, so just 1 ladle, 1 big one, 1 little one, a bit less for the small ones obviously. Might want to tip some of the juice out. You can always use a spoon with holes in. But I do like my food juicy. I don't like anything dry really, unless it's supposed to be dry. But if it's not supposed to be dry, I don't want to eat it dry. And then that one. Oh, we've got quite a lot actually. That's quite amazing. That's 500 grams of minced beef. And that's actually made quite a few of these pies. And these pies are really filling, by the way. I use these pie dishes for all sorts of pies that I make. Puff pastry. Usually when I make a puff pastry pie, in these little dishes, I just cut out the lids and then I put them on afterwards. Because if I try and cook with a pie lid on, because always the inside is always done when I've made pies for guests. I've always cooked the ingredients first, like if it's chicken, the chicken's always been cooked. And then the pie lids, I just get a sheet of you either make your own short crust pastry or your own puff pastry, or buy puff pastry. It's usually cheaper than trying to make it yourself, which takes hours, and I have done that, and it does take a long time. I will show you how to make it, because I like making cheese straws, and they're made with puff pastry. But you can actually just cheat and use like shop-bought puff pastry, and then put layers of cheese on and fold it and do it like that. But you can also make your own pastry, and then I recommend you cut the lids out. This is how I've done it in the past, and that way you never get a soggy lid. And also, if you're going to put a bottom on your pie, I used to just do like the very bottom of the pie, not up the sides, alright? And then I used to put beans in them and like cook them in the oven so that they were always cooked. And then all the goodness, all the liquid doesn't soak into the base of your pie, and you don't get a soggy bottom. Okay, because soggy bottom pie, unless you want it to be soggy bottom pie, it's not very nice. And if you do the lids, just put them on a sheet and then coat them with some egg wash or milk with the shape and everything you've done to them, and then just bung them in the oven. And then when they're done, just plop them on the top. If you're just going to serve them to your people, and then the pie's done. Or you can make traditional pies, but this is what I used to do when I ran my business and made pies for people. I always found this was the quickest way, and you know, it can look really dramatic when you put on a great big puff pastry lid like that on top of this pie, and people go, whoa, you know, when you take it out on a plate, they're always sort of taken aback by it. Just a little sort of tip there, if you want to make a really quick pie, and you have any meat laying around, and just put it in a dish like this, unless you're really wanting a bottom of your pie, and then just cook the lid first, and then, you know, obviously cut out to size, you can't cut it afterwards, always cut it before and then put it on after. And people will go, wow, that's an amazing pie you just made. Little will they know how you done it. They don't need to know. Okay? So just a tip. Okay? So at the moment I'm actually going to go and find another dish or two. Alright? Okay then, so I found a deep one. I've got a few of these ones which are deeper. But we'll see how much we can get in that one. And what I will do with these is once they are cooked, once they are done, well, we won't need that little weeny one now. We've got enough with this one. But I'm just going to take off some of the liquid because there's a bit much in there. So I'm going to use a spoon with holes in just to drain off some of the liquid in that one because that's too much liquid. So there we are. And don't waste this, I'm going to use it for gravy. But never waste anything. Okay? So even if you've got a little bit of juice left, try and use it for something else. So we've got that much juice in there. Oh, you can't see. Anyway, so we're just going to keep that and make that gravy. Alright, so I've actually made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. So 2 little ones and 4 big ones, so that's pretty good. So I will have to freeze these because me and Simon will not be eating 6 pies over the next few days, okay? But if you've got a large family, you know, that's quite enough meat, isn't it? Once you've bulked it out with a bit of vegetable, I mean, you could probably serve a lot of people with that. At least 6 people with that amount of meat. And just bulk it out a bit with some vegetables. Like just add more carrots and peas and stuff. And you can, it's a really cheap meal. It doesn't cost much. And a few potatoes don't cost much. So it's quite a cheap meal to make. And a comforting food is what it's called. Comfort food. Very nice on a nice cold day. Okay, Lorna? So the potatoes are now done, so I'm just going to strain them off. You don't need to see that bit, it's a bit boring. Okay, so here are the potatoes, and don't forget to keep the potato water, okay? So put it in your jug, your saucepan, whatever you're going to be making your stock with, and keep it, and it tastes really nice as well. It makes really good gravy, so if you're making gravy, keep the potato water that you just had. So I'm going to mash these few potatoes, and it doesn't matter that some of these might not have lids on because they might not. This probably won't go through this amount. I can just tell by looking that this isn't going to cover these. So I'm only going to cover the ones that are necessary, and then the others I will freeze anyway, and then I can just make potato mash anytime, or I could just put pastry lids on them. So it doesn't really matter. Remember, cooking is supposed to be interesting, and whatever, you can change your mind all the time, which is what I do all the time. 1 minute I'm doing this, next minute I'm doing that, and you just tweak it, twist it, do what you want. You know, don't think, oh my God, look, there's way too many of them and I haven't made enough potatoes, now I've got to get more potatoes out. Don't worry about it, just let them cool down, put them in the fridge, well, cover them up with cling film, put them in the fridge. Once they're cold, just put the spare ones in the freezer. Alright, and just make the ones that you've made enough mash for. Do not fret over it, it doesn't matter. Obviously, you need to make enough potatoes if you're doing a lot of people. I mean, obviously, it's sort of 1 large potato per person, okay? But I only had these tiny little potatoes, and I didn't want to make much potato. Because you can also just eat this as it is, or make it into spaghetti bolognese. I mean, you know, it's just minced beef at the end of the day, so you can do with it what you like. You can make a lasagna with it if you know, you've got the base now. It's basically the same. I've actually put tomato puree in this, so it's ready to go. Just do what you want. It's not setting rules. Cooking should be fun. Remember what I said. So in this, we're just going to add a little bit of butter, and we're going to put in some milk. Just a little bit, and then a little bit of salt and pepper. here's my pepper grinder. And it also is salt. These are from my tables. I stole one because my one seems to be broken. Okay, so I'm going to get a masher. So this will probably be... Okay, so here's my masher. So I'm just going to mash these potatoes. I'm just going to do it on this worktop because this table's a bit wobbly. So all you're doing is mashing the potatoes, or like I said, actually if you cut sliced potatoes, parboil them whole, slice them, then lay them on the top. Those potatoes go further than when you mash them, by the way. But I prefer mash on. It's supposed to be cottage pie, so I prefer mash. So I'm doing this, so it only takes a few minutes. And you want it nice and creamy. So you can either grill. Hi there, Sue here again. Sue's dog robbed my kitchen. I got quite waylaid there as some people knocked on the door and wanted to have a drink. So I had to go to the bar and open the bar, only because I wanted to, because they've been here before. So I thought it'd be nice to have a chat. So that's what I've been doing. So now I've still got to continuously carry on with putting the mash on the tops of our cottage pie. Okay, so that's what we're doing right now. So we're going to put the lids on some of these cottage pies. As I said before, there won't be enough mash here for all of these. Okay, so we're going to just have some of these as mince and cover them up, put them in the fridge. Once they're frozen, I'll just put some labels on. Well, before I put them in the freezer. And then whenever I want something quick to eat, I will have one of these. I can just heat it up in the microwave and then either just have it as mince or put some mash on. Doesn't really matter, or have it like with spaghetti or something. So there we are. Anyway, I'll just get a spoon here and I'm just going to put some mash on these. Luckily they've all cooled down now, everything's cool, so it won't be difficult to do this because I was away for about an hour and about my displays. They wanted to know what we've been doing and everything. Anyway, thank you for dropping in, and if you watch this video, really lovely to see you again. Okay, I just thought I'd put that out there because you actually were here just a minute ago. Okay, to the couple that were here. So anyway, look, I've only got enough mash here for 3 of these. So 3 of them will be plain and we'll just put them in the freezer as they are. Or you could just tip them back out and put it in a bowl. You don't have to have them in these dishes. But I like to keep them in these because, I would probably eat this size for my lunch or something, Right, so here are the ones with the mash on. So I'm just going to flatten it down a bit with a fork. I have a fork here, so I'm just going to push it down. So it's good that it's all cold now because it doesn't sort of sink in once it's all cold. So just push the mash down, not too much. This is why you don't want too much juice in because it will spill out all over the place. So there we are. And then you can, if you was freezing these, I wouldn't bother to put the cheese on yet. I would put the cheese on once you've defrosted them and you're going to eat them for dinner. And if you're going to freeze them, then just freeze them like this now, okay? So, and then put the cheese on once they're defrosted. Don't need to freeze the cheese, okay? But you can put it on if you want, but I would say no. Just freeze them like this. So, there we are. So they're not fancy or anything, they're just cottage pie. So there we are. I'm going to do nice little fancy patterns. Like so. Okay, there we are. And this last little weenie one. Done. And don't forget, you can make these vegetarian. Use corn mince instead of beef mince, or you can make them into shepherd's pie and just use lamb mince. And then you can actually add whatever you want into them. But this is my version of a cottage pie today. So there we are. So there we have it. So we've got these little weeny ones, and then we've got these bigger ones. Okay? So when my partner comes home this week, he will be having one of these for dinner. Or not. I'm not sure yet. I might change my mind and give him something completely different. So anyway, they're done. So we've got 3 with mash on and 3 without. So these will be covered up, put in the fridge, and I'll put labels on them and I'll put them in the freezer, and then we'll have these prepared for another day when we need a quick meal and we don't want to cook anything. So this will be nice and instant for me at the weekends when he comes home, and I just put a lid on them, some mash or whatever, or we'll just eat them as they are and just have some spaghetti or rice with it. Okay? So anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and look out for my next video. Not sure what it's going to be yet, but I'll let you know. Well, you'll see, won't you? Anyway, thank you for watching my channel, and I hope you're getting some knowledge from my videos. I hope I'm actually helping you. And if there's anything you would like me to cook, just leave a comment below, and give me a thumbs up if you enjoy my videos, or a thumbs down if you don't. I've got a very hard skin. And if there's any advice or anything you'd like me to give you, or if you want to give me any advice, then just let me know in the comments below. Please subscribe to my channel below, and please watch the next video. And I hope you enjoy my videos on my dog Brobknife, Sue's Dog Brobknife Kitchen. Anyway, thank you for now, and I will see you soon. So, bye for now. Bye!